Okay, and so now in differentiation 2, we're going to look at turning points and points of inflection. Okay, so when we first began differentiation, we began by looking at tangents to the curves at different points. So there's a tangent, here's another tangent. This here is a tangent, this is a tangent, and so on. This is, if I just get that one in closer, that's also going to be a tangent line. Oops. Okay, something like that. Okay, so where it touches it at exactly 1 point. Now here we can see the slope of this line is steeper than the slope of this line. The slope of this line is steeper again, and then this one is steeper in a steeper than this line here, again in a positive direction, whereas these two are in a negative direction. This line here though, well, that actually is a slightly decreasing slope. But if I draw another one here, maybe that tangent there is totally flat, it's horizontal. So the slope of that line would be 0. Okay, so that's an example. We can see this is where the graph, where the function turns at that point. So basically, what we're going to look at now is turning points and points of inflection. But these turning points and points of inflection, they all happen at stationary points when the slope is equal to 0. Okay, so if we look at these two graphs here, the first function here, we can see that the tangents are below the curve. And here in our second function here, we can see that the tangents, or the derivatives to it, are above the curve. Now, that point where the curve in a way kind of twists, let's see if we can just get it to match in here, where, so it would be somewhere along the lines of here, if I was to draw like this, that point where the curve twists and it begins to turn, that point here, it's another turning point, but it's a point of inflection. So it means that from this point on here, our tangent lines will no longer be below the curve, but they begin to be above the curve. So that's what a point of inflection is. And if a function has a point of inflection, then f double prime, or f double dash of c, or we know it as d2y dx squared, will be equal to 0. Okay, so that's if it has a point of inflection. So let's maybe look at a diagram now where we have a selection of these points. Okay, so here we have a graph, and we can see there's lots going on in this graph. So this is its minimum point, this is its maximum point. And then here we can see we're an increasing function all the way along here. And then what happens, this is going to be a place where dy dx is equal to 0. It's a turning point in the graph. We can clearly see that. This is also a point where dy dx will be equal to 0, and here, here, and here. So, but at this point, this is a local maximum, because up until here we had an increase in function. So our range of values would have been greater than or equal to 0 for our slope. And then here it begins to decrease. So now they're going to become less than 0 for our slope. Here at the point of inflection, this is where the curve begins to twist. And same, we're going to have another point of inflection here, and so on. So here we'd have had a local minimum, then it begins to kind of twist and flatten again. Here we have a horizontal point of inflection. These are called saddle points. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of questions, but that's basically what the different kind of points look like. When we have a maximum point in a function, we can't say that it's a maximum completely, because obviously we could have a bigger curve than, say, for example, if we just have, oops, then if we have something like this, we might say, oh, well, then that's a maximum point. But actually, that's just on that particular interval. We don't know what kind of curve it is if there's something else as well. So that's why they get the title local, so that at that area, it's a maximum. And here, then again, at this area here, it is a minimum. So it's local minimum. And then point of inflections happen along the way. Okay, so let's look at some questions in relation to this. Just to clarify, then again, we have our three types of stationary points and our turning points here, a local maximum. All of these points occur when the slope is 0. But at a local maximum point, to know that it's a local maximum, we will look at the second derivative. And if d2y dx squared is less than 0, then we have a local maximum point. Similarly, we again look at our second derivative here, so d2y dx squared, and if that is greater than 0, then we have a local minimum point, and then at our point of inflection, we have d2y, as we said before, dx squared equal to 0. Okay, so this is very important to make sure we have those notes down, and that this is going to be our test. And to test a point of inflection, well, we'll come to that as we go on. Okay, so let's move on and do an example. Just before we do this example, just to reiterate, to find local maxima or minima points or points of inflection, always we find dy dx. We then put dy dx equal to 0 and get the corresponding y values. And then we test them out with our second derivative, with d2y dx squared, to see whether it is less than 0, local maxima, local max. If the second derivative is greater than 0, it's a local minimum. And if it's equal to 0, it's a point of inflection, POI. Okay, so let's work on with a question now. So here we're given the function f defined by x to the power of 4 minus 4x cubed. So the first thing we have to find is the derivative f of x. So part 1, f prime of x is going to be equal to 4x cubed minus 12x squared. Okay, and so now we want to find the coordinates of the stationary points. So we know the stationary points happen when dy dx is equal to 0. So similarly here, dy dx equal to 0. So we'll be putting f prime of x, our first derivative, equal to 0 and solving for x. 12x squared equal to 0. Now I'm going to divide across by 4 because I can see that it's a common factor. So x cubed minus 12x squared is equal to 0. I never divide across by x because then I'll be losing one of the stationary points. Instead, I simply factorize. So here I'm going to say x squared times x minus 3 is equal to 0. So I'm going to have x squared equal to 0, which means x is equal to 0. And here I have x minus 3 equal to 0. So x is equal to 3. So now we want to find the corresponding y values for each of those points. Okay, so here we go. We have f of x here. So well, f of 0 is simply going to be 0 to the power of 4 minus 4 times 0 cubed, which is going to be 0. So 0, 0 is a stationary point. And then f of 3, well, is going to be 3 to the power of 4 minus 4 times 3 cubed, which is equals minus 27. So this point here is 3 comma minus 27. So these are our 2 points, our 2 stationary points. So we need to check out what kind of points they are. So to do that, we get our f double dash of x, our second derivative, and we see, well, that's 3 times 4 is 12, x squared minus 24x, and now we sub in our x values there and see what we have. So f double dash of 0 is equal to 12 times 0 squared minus 24 times 0, which is equal to 0. So that means this is a point of inflection, and we want to see, well, what kind of point of inflection is it? So if the slope on both sides of this point of inflection is the same, then it means it's a horizontal point of inflection or a saddle point. So in order to do that, we go back to f prime and we take a value either side of the 0, but making sure that it's between 0 and 3. Okay, so making sure here that it's, so we could take 1 or 2, but we want to be as close to the 0 as we can. So we'll take f prime of 1 and we'll take f prime of minus 1. So if both of those values give us the same slope, so we have, well, f prime is 4 times 1 to be cubed minus 12 times 1 squared, and f minus 1 is 4 times minus 1 cubed minus 12 times minus 1 to be squared, and both of those give us values of 4 times 1 is 4, minus 12 is minus 8, and 4 is minus 1, minus 12 is minus 16. So both of those have the same sign, they're both less than 0, which means then this is going to be a horizontal point of inflection or a saddle point. Okay, and now we want to see what our other stationary point is. So is it a point of inflection or a local maximum or a local minimum point? And even looking at the value of it, where it's 3 minus 27, we'd imagine it's a local minimum, but let's just check. So we have f double dash of 3 is equal to 12 times 3 squared minus 24 times 3. So that's going to give us a value of 36, which is greater than 0. So it is, as we thought, a local minimum point. So in order to find, or to be able to draw our graph, we want to find the x and the y intercepts. So well, the x-intercepts happen at y equal to 0. So f of x is x to the power of 4 minus 4x cubed, and that's equal to 0. So factorising out our x cubed, we have x minus 4 equal to 0, and so that gives us x cubed equal to 0, which means x is equal to 0, and x minus 4 equal to 0, which is x equal to 4. So those are 2 points. We have the point 0, 0, which we already know is our horizontal point of inflection, and we also have the point 4, 0. Okay, and then just our y-intercept is all we're left to find now. Where it crosses the y-axis, so that's at x equal to 0, so we have f of 0 is equal to 0 to the power of 4 minus 4 times 0 cubed, which is 0 as well. So that's the point 0, 0, which we already know is our point of inflection. So now we can graph, or just about now we can graph our function, but we're asked to graph it in the domain from -1 to 4. So we know what's happening at 4, it's crossing the x-axis. So let's just find out what's happening at -1. So we'll also just get here f of -1 is equal to minus 1 to the power of 4 minus 4 times minus 1 cubed, which is going to be equal to minus 1 plus 4, or sorry, 1 plus 4, which is 5. So we know at the point minus 1, 5 is a point also along the curve. Okay, so we can draw our graph. So here's our x and y axis. So let's start by marking in some of those important points. So we had the point minus 1 comma 5. So that's going to be right here. We also know something. We have a horizontal saddle point here at 0, 0. We know we have a local minimum here at 3 minus 27, so somewhere around here. And we know at 4, 0 that it also crosses the x-axis. So these are important points. And now let's just sketch our curve in based on those points. So our easiest one to begin drawing is our local minimum here at 3 comma minus 27. So that's that part in, and this will be easier for you in your copies with a pencil. So, and here we go, something like that. Then the next point, we know it's starting here, minus 1, it's going through 5. And we know it's coming down here to cross the x-axis at the origin, but it's also a saddle point. So we want it to kind of rest there a little bit, and then that it turns to come down and to meet our curve here. Okay, so that would be, so our curve is something like that. And then let's just mark in f of x. Then our last part of our question asks us what is the maximum value of f of x. Well, so here we can see on this domain here, so at 4 it's at 0, so at minus 1 it was at 5, so that's the highest point, the end point of our graph. So our maximum value, max value of f of x between where minus 1 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 4 is equal to 5. It's our y value at x equal to minus 1. Okay, so that's that question finished. So let's make sure you get all of those notes down, but most importantly, our procedure in order to find turning points and points of inflection. So first of all, we get our derivative f dash of x. We put it equal to 0 to find our stationary points, and then we test out and see what are those stationary points, and we test those out using f double dash of x, or our second derivative, and then the rest is just regular functions from there on in and plotting our graph. Okay, so and then on to Schoology to have a look at some more questions similar to this.